environment.
Mm-hmm.
So they're
great.
more into the environmental engineering, or into wind power, into solar power, especially down in here in southern Louisiana. They are into solar power because
Yeah.
It's
we
everywhere.
could be without power for,
Yeah.
for a week or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Living here in almost Hurricane Alley.
Yeah.
So they were more inquisitive than what I remember when I was teaching in Virginia, my students being, because in Virginia, although you still get hit by hurricanes, it had to hit perfectly right at Virginia Beach Tidewater area. Typically the Outer Banks stuck out too far, and so it'd bounce it up Remy's way. Up to the northern part. But yeah, it's just something that I've noticed over the last few years, that they're more aware than what I recall since I stared teaching back in, I don't know, 2000, something like that.
And I think that's why this project really resonates a lot. I think is just because of, climate anxiety, and, these kids are a little, I don't want to say hyper aware, but they're more aware, like you said, that climate change is a real issue and we are going to need to tackle it. And it's nice to be able to give them a tool, even if it's just a small tool that, has an impact and makes them feel like they're really doing something to help, as opposed to, just talking about it and freaking out over it. So
yeah, they were running around trying to find all kinds of things to see what they could power and how much it could take. And it was really, I've made that mental note to have lots of other devices available next year, if we're able to get the solar kit again, to allow them a more diverse range of things to plug in. So
were you able to go through knowledge to action part of it? Because I know that that's something that I always want to do and I always run out of time. But I always feel like that would be so really great.
No, I ran out of time just because I'd never really done anything like this before. So I ran out of time in the first group, just time, because it was just a 5-day camp. But all those kids in that camp had already been to an intro to engineering camp. So I didn't have to take time to teach engineering design process or anything else like that. They've already had it once or twice. They were kids that have been to multiple camps here at LSU. And my intro to engineering camp, I had to take the time to go back and teach the engineering design process, and a few other things before we got into it. And then I had to come off of the solar suitcase to get a few more things into the curriculum before they left after the 10 days. So didn't get to it this year, but want to next year.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to note, and I think you guys all saw it, that I did start recording this because we have 2 teachers that have received their suitcases and are hopefully going to be building this semester. And one of them never responded. So I'm just envisioning that she's super busy with classroom things, and the other one accepted, but if she doesn't make it, I think, we understand that it's a busy time. So we wanted to make this available as a resource. And so Kim, since you've been through the ringer a bit, I know we were going to ask Anna and Allie to just maybe start from the beginning and unpack the suitcase briefly for us to make sure they understand what they have, and then breeze through the curriculum overview just so that we kind of understand what the process is. So if you're up for, hanging out, I think you would be a great resource for these teachers since you've done this once before, and I've done it a couple of times. So happy to be a resource to them as well. So if that's cool, we'll go ahead and let these We Share Solar ladies take the stage. I shared the sharing, so you should be able to share.
Yeah, great. I'll share my screen. Ali, do you want to do equipment and then I'll do curriculum?
Sure.
I've just got these 3 slides.
Yeah. So when the solar suitcase arrives, it's unbuilt. These are the parts that come with it. It should come with everything you need to build the solar suitcase, including a 6-in-1 screwdriver and all the parts needed. Comes with a guidebook. The things that you don't need to return when you, after you've built it and you're sending it back to us, you don't need to return any batteries or any tools like the screwdriver. You can keep that and the guidebook, but we ask that you try to return the posters that come with it, and then all the parts included. There's like a little extra lamp cord here, and a 2-port USB hub. Thank you. Yeah, so those also need to come back. So just all the little parts need to come back. What's not shown here that also comes with it, and I can actually share my screen for a second, Anna.
You want the deployment kit?
Yeah, well, I was just showing these parts here. This is not a great diagram, but or picture, but these two switch boxes also come with it. They come unassembled as well. And those two need to come back. I think, I can't remember what we sent you all, but these do need a hammer. I think maybe Remy, you send them a hammer and like a set of pliers, and maybe just in case you needed some wire strippers and safety glasses. Those are things that don't usually come with it. And these also get returned to us. And then and you might get a battery, and that's usually just used in the classroom and not sent back to us, because when we ship it to Kenya or Uganda or a school in East Africa, we pair it with an additional big solar panel here and another larger battery, the external battery. Those are purchased in country, so you never really see those. The solar panel that comes to your classroom is a little 10-watt panel that's probably big enough to maybe fit inside the solar suitcase, or maybe just a little bit bigger. Those are also things that you would keep as like a classroom accessories that don't need to come back to us. We ask that, and actually I'll let you know too. So we ask that you only add stickers or decorate the inside of the lid here. Anna, can you just like point to that? Yeah, thank you. That part can be, you can add pictures, you can add any kind of artwork or have the students sign it. We just ask that you don't mark the outside of the case in any way. That just adds complications to when it goes through customs, and might cause it to be set aside and not let through into the country. So, and if you'll notice that the way that it's installed on the wall is this orientation. So when you open it up, it's kind of almost opposite of what you would think how you would think it would open. So as you're decorating the inside of the lid, you can kind of keep note of that it opens outward like that with a little shelf at the bottom. And we have 2 to 3 deployments throughout the year, usually through like now. And this is another picture of what it might look like when it's installed. The switch boxes can even go in a different classroom, depending on how they're able to extend them with the wiring. The battery box is now, the battery is put in a box that's on a wall underneath the solar suitcase. For added protection, it's a metal box. And then the solar suitcase is installed on the roof. And then, like I started to say, we have 2 to 3 installations per year, which is the time when we'll request the solar suitcases back from you. Usually right around now, kind of late fall. And then we might have another one sort of at the early part of the calendar year. So February, March-ish. And then at the end of the school year, around May and June, we start to ask for them back. Of course, if you're doing a summer program, like you would send it back, and it just might have to wait a little bit until fall. So, and it can take many months to send it, get it quality controlled at our manufacturer, get it shipped to Kenya or Uganda, and then get it installed. So we just ask for patience with that. We try to get it, get the whole cycle complete as soon as we can, but there's often unforeseen delays that we just don't have control over. So, yeah. Any questions on that?
No.
No?
No, thank you. That was a
Great.
really
Did
nice
I
overview.
think I covered everything there.
Okay, shall I go over the curriculum then?
I think that would be
Just get up.
fantastic.
And show. Okay, let me find the tab. Okay, so I'll share my screen again. Share screen. Okay, so our curriculum is all online, and it's all open source. If you have colleagues who will be interested, feel free to share it. There's stuff here that can be used without the Solar Suitcase. We basically have 6 main sections. The first 2 are some context prior to building the Solar Suitcase. So there are lessons on global energy access. So the human connection to building a solar suitcase, looking at energy access around the world. There are a couple of different lessons here for different age levels, and then the same for solar power in the environment. So this is more of the environmental climate change side of things. Again, we have a lesson content here for high school or middle school, so you can work out which works best, or use this however makes sense for you. The actual building of the suitcase, there are tons of resources. You can see this is a huge section. So there are lots of videos, there are some activities. I won't go over any of these in detail, but I mean, we have lots of webinars. We've just done a load of webinars that are on our website that go over some of these in a bit more detail. So if there's an area of content that you want to learn more about, that's a really good place to start. So activities kind of putting the solar suitcase in context with other solar systems, and then lots of resources for actually building the suitcase, understanding the wiring, and yeah, there's a video for anything. There's so many videos. Video for anything you might need, including how to disassemble the solar suitcase if you want to take it apart and put it back together again.
Wait, just a note on that. For this solar suitcase that you're going to deploy, hopefully that's only something you do once or twice, just because it can sort of degrade the integrity of the parts. But if you have classroom kits, like Remy, I think you have a few classroom kits, those can be taken apart as much as they can. And then we have refurbishment kits you can purchase if any of the parts get damaged or lost.
I'll be talking to you about that one.
Yeah.
We've then got 2 sections of more of the content. So part 4 is all about basic electricity, and we've got some really cool FET simulation instructions in here that are really great. That I don't know how this probably isn't really useful for summer camps, but we also have like a student course. So just like you teachers would have signed into this, a student can sign into this. And it's a nice, simple kind of step-by-step course where that includes all the FET simulations. So if you wanted to include that, you can. But I think for a summer camp, you maybe would want to do a FET simulation or 2, but don't know how much time you want to spend on the computer in the
We
summer.
did have a lot of fun with the FET simulations. They took the dog out because I think you used to be able to set a dog on fire if you overload your resistors or something.
Oh no!
But I don't think that's in there anymore.
No, I don't remember
shaking her head. She knows what I'm
glad
about.
they took. Oh,
yeah, that's pencil. Fine, dog no. Then another section on really understanding energy and power. So some activities here for that. And then this is where we put all of our engineering design stuff. So the knowledge to action that you were mentioning is here. There's kind of a middle school version, which is a bit simpler, but if you really have time and are working with kids who you can get into the numbers with, and it's really, really, really great to do that. So we have resources here that explain step-by-step how to design a standalone solar system from scratch, and just a few other activities for sizing a system. And then if you forgot anything that Ali told you, it's all in here. Lots of information about how to deploy the solar suitcase, and then a load of additional resources at the end. Lots and lots of stuff. There's some math. I did this on a summer camp. Solar math was written specifically to go with the solar suitcase. This is actually something that was a Jeopardy Africa edition, was done as like a team building thing with our staff. I was like, oh, I'm going to put that in the curriculum because teachers might.
That's cool. What does this
Also-
math have in it? I'm just curious as to be.
So this was a summer camp that I did 9 years ago, I think. It was over was a 3-year program. So they're math questions that were written by a math tutoring company where everything is, they're word problems basically that relate to Solus. There are problems here about kerosene. They align with Common Core math standards. So these are all like equation of a line thing. Yeah, it's really good. And then just kind of math. But it's like content
Not
and
like
math. So
series in parallel, or does it go into, oh, it does go into that. So that's what this is going to be.
I think so. I can't remember.
This
It's
is-
a very long document. We did math every day for 3 weeks. So yeah, it's great. There's some really good stuff in here.
I have to say I've never used this curriculum before because I just use like the PDFs that were shared with me on a Google Drive like 3 years ago before you had this.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm
it's
working from
updated.
like old curriculum. I should like start using this. This has got really cool stuff.
Yeah, it does.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot in here.
I have this question with this, because when you go back to the root level, it says, you completed 1 of 3 or 6, or can we reset that counter somehow if we're doing multiple versions? For me, it's to be able to keep track of what I've done and what I haven't done with one group to another group.
You mean in Thinkific in the platform?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think so, because this is designed for
Students.
like it's a course. It's like you're taking a course.
I wonder if you could
Okay.
set it up as 2 separate, like you could have 2 separate logins for.
Yeah, you could do that if you wanted to do that.
I mean, that sounds like a lot of
Create-
work, but
Yeah.
I wonder
I could
though,
just-
that's something we could look into and see if there,
Yeah, to
I
reset.
feel like
if a
I feel like there
teacher
should be a
does
way.
over
Yeah.
several
And
blocks or-
enroll and then re-enroll
Mhm.
or something, but I don't know.
Just a question.
Yeah, yeah.
Most people probably only use it once. But for those of us that want to keep using it and use this to display to the students, it'd be nice to know where I'm at from
Where you're
one
at,
to
yeah.
the next.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
You can
there's
actually,
lots-
I'm
Unless
looking
I
at it.
write it.
I'm
unless
looking
I
at it
write
right
on my hand, I won't
Oh,
know.
sorry. I'm looking at it
So-
right now. Like you can go back into something you marked as complete and mark it incomplete. So
Oh.
it undoes it, but like, yeah, you'd have to figure out which group you're using it with. But
Yeah.
if you're using it simultaneously, that doesn't help. But if you use it like at separate times, you can you
Just
can
uncompleted.
unmark your.
Yeah. For the
Yeah, you
most
have to-
part, it would be at separate times for me.
Okay, then I think you can go in and you have to like manually do it, but you can
Okay.
mark incomplete. Yeah.
There's also some additional curriculum here that's new from a summer camp I did with middle school kids. The research grant was looking at using solar to develop STEM identity in kids. So there's some kind of STEAM stuff in here. There's an art. This first activity includes some art. And there are resources here on how we ran our career panel, looking at kind of identity and STEM. And then just a couple, some of these are very quick kind of activities, but then some of these are much longer. So they work really well on a summer camp where you have a bit more time. So those might be worth looking at depending on your context. But yeah, that's a very quick overview.
Thank you, Anna. That was really helpful. And then, so they just set up an account. Is that the easy, they go into We Share Solar and set up an account, and then they can come in here and they can have access to the back end for keeping track of everything.
So if you go to our website,
I don't think there's really a back end for, are you talking
there's a
about
link
for,
here, right?
yeah, there
you were
should-
saying like check as complete or incomplete. I'm assuming that's something that happens.
no, these courses are actually designed for students. We just use them as like a teacher resource course. So the teacher actually enrolls as a student. So it's just the front end you mark complete as if you the student were completing everything. And then you just go back into that lesson and right next to the mark as complete, you can mark incomplete.
So if you were working with groups, like I have, 3 groups of 5 kids working on each suitcase, do each of them log in and then work their way through this stuff? Or I'm just from a facilitator standpoint, is it?
There's a couple ways, most of our lessons and things can be copied into your own Google Drive, so you can do whatever you want with them that way. Like I said, this is kind of a teacher resource course, but like Anna mentioned, there is a student version that's just the student work. And on that one, they can all log in separately. You just give them the link and they have to enroll. It's for free. But I wouldn't give every student the link to the main course here. That's more like the teacher.
Yeah, there's
version.
student facing materials in here, but this isn't student facing.
But it's more for like the teacher to
yeah.
make a copy of the student facing and hand it out as opposed.
So we have plenty of things. Like if you wanted to do the FET activities, they could do it through the course, or they can. This is a Google Doc.
Okay.
So you can put this in Google Classroom or whatever you wanted to do.
But I think, Anna, correct me if I'm wrong, there is a student, like they log in separately to a separate course that's just all the student work or the student like worksheets and things like that.
Yeah, but just not for the whole thing. It's only for
okay.
There's like one, for the content, the electricity stuff, that's more kind of like, it's kind of almost like an online textbook. That's something they can do themselves online. But everything else is, because it's all very interactive. It's not, there aren't very many. I mean, there are some worksheets, but most of it, it's like activities, jigsaw activities and things like that.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate that overview. We're at the end of our time. And Kim, I know you were able to kind of talk through some of your experiences at the beginning, but I mean, do you have any questions for anybody?
Can I do it again next year?
Well, I was telling these ladies that we did receive some industry funding. Their pledges at the moment, not all the money is like hit the bank yet, but to do a lot more of these next year, on the order of, I don't know, 7 or so, if not more, maybe more like 14, depending on how we run it. We were talking about, would it be better to offer 1 deployable suitcase and 2 classroom kits as a package, as opposed to just the deployable? Because how, you needed to borrow 2 from me to deploy, to get your camp going. So would it be a better resource? Or we talked about spending some of that money to maybe create, I have a kit library of like 7 of these that I use, but they're technically belong to JMU. So I'm not sure if JMU would be okay with Repowering Schools lending these out. So we might have to buy another set of them that belong to Repowering Schools or something like that. Or, maybe the developers want to buy them and keep them locally and then share them with people that are in their project areas or something like that. So we're gonna talk about how we want to do that, and that'll change how many we have available, but we definitely will have more available this coming year.
Yeah, I haven't made contact again with the lady you put me in touch with, that
Sarah from Pattern.
Yeah. So I don't know, if she's willing to buy a couple of kits that I would keep to use in my intro to engineering camp, because ideally I would want to use it in that camp, because it is a 10-day residential camp. The 5-day, I just felt like I rushed them through it. Even though they had at least 1 engineering camp under their belt, some of them had 2. I still felt I went at a very fast pace over the 4 days.
I know you think 4 or 5 days is going to be a lot of time with those students, and it just flies by. Especially once you add in all the other experiences, like, playing with more solar devices, or, I was telling Allie and Anna that we did a solar tour on a day, and we, had like a career panel where they got to meet people who do solar or learned about a big solar project nearby, or, so once you add in all of those kind of opportunities. We actually had a teacher who was local to us, who came in, who had been to Kenya, and she came in and actually taught the kids some Swahili. And then we sang Swahili songs and fun, like things like that. And so like I said, we add all that stuff in, 4 days goes by really, really fast. So
Correct.
Yeah.
It does. It
awesome.
does.
Well, I appreciate your time, ladies. I'm happy to stick around if you guys want to chat more, but I completely understand if you've got things you need to hop off to take care of. So I appreciate it. And I will send this around to everybody as a resource, and I'll let them know that they can reach out to you, Anna and Allie, if they have more questions, or Kim, obviously. So I appreciate
Remy,
it.
the link, you can get to the curriculum through the website, but it's a few clicks. The link, if you want a direct link, in my signature, there's a link to the curriculum that you can share. It's a bit easier to get to.
I will do that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, ladies.
Thanks.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.